Hi. So today we'll discuss statistical tests and designs. Okay. Before going to test, there are some assumption test. Okay. That we call test for assumption. It is done to make sure which test we have to do. Okay. Or to know which type of test we will do. There are two types. One is parametric, one is non-parametric. Okay. तो assumption टेस्ट इसलिए करते हैं ताकि हमें पता चल सके कि आगे हमें जाके पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट करना है या फिर नॉन पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट करना है. ठीक है, सिंपल है. तो इस पे बात करते हैं. पैरामेट्रिक टेस्ट करने के लिए सबसे पहले डेटा नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड होना चाहिए. ठीक है, इसके लिए हम बताएंगे कैसे चेक करते हैं. और जब हम अजम्पशन टेस्ट यूज़ कर रहे हैं तो वो सिर्फ कंटिन्यूस लेवल ऑफ मेजरमेंट्स पे यूज़ होता है, जो कि है इंटरवल रेशियो. ओके, you can go through the video of like levels of measurement. You will get what are the different levels. It is divided into two: categorical and continuous. Okay, in short I'm telling categorical, name and ordinal, continuous, ratio and intervals. Okay, so हम यहाँ सिर्फ कंटिन्यूस लेवल ऑफ मेजरमेंट यूज़ करते हैं, जो कि इंटरवल और रेशियो है. ठीक है, और एक और बात कही गई है, वेरिएंस शुड बी इक्वल. दिस इज ओनली फॉर बिटवीन ग्रुप कंडीशन. विल टॉक अबाउट दिस इन डिटेल. ओके, आफ्टर फ्यू मिनट्स. ओके, so test for assumptions. Okay, first test is to check normality. Okay, in the previous video, or yes, previous video we have talked about the normality, like how the data is normal. Okay, first graphically we can say when the graph is going as a bell shaped. Okay, when mean, median, mode are equal. Okay, that's the data normally we describe by the graphical or data method. But by a test, statistical tests are there to check the normality. Okay, so the name of the assumption is to check normality. The test is given as Shapirovic test. Okay, you don't have to do this test. There's a software called JASP we mostly use in research methodology to do these tests. You just have to input the data and the result will become. Okay, so the null hypothesis for data is data are normally distributed. Okay, so talking about null hypothesis, okay, that's denoted by H naught. So I'm just going little deep. So in software, what we do, we just input the data. So there it gives a value of P. Okay, this is the concept in detail for this. So there's coming the value of P. If P is greater than or equal to 0.05, then we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, that simply means we accept the null hypothesis as it is. And if P value is less than 0.05, then we reject the null hypothesis. Okay, for example, if you are doing the normality test, okay, null hypothesis is this, and the p value comes 0.06 or 0.05, then we'll say yes, data are normally distributed, because the p value is greater than 0.05 and we are accepting, we are failed to reject the null hypothesis. So we say data are normally distributed. If it's coming less than 0.05, then we'll say no, data are not normally distributed, because we're rejecting the null hypothesis. Okay, and condition for normality changes according to the design. This is simple. Just you have to understand the null hypothesis. Okay, now for every continuous variable, okay, any test you are doing, you have to do the normality. And also yes, now if data are normally distributed, you'll go for parametric test. If not, non-parametric test. Okay, so for every test you have to check the normality in continuous level of measurement. Okay, and for there is one special condition for between group. Between group mean when you are using two group, one control, one experimental group in a research. So you have to check equivalence of variance. Okay, that means you have to check the baseline if they are starting from the same point. For example, we are going through one race event, and you have seen, like, even if you have run anything, any marathon or any simple race, 100-meter, there's one starting point. Okay, and there will be one finish line. The main thing is starting point, because If it will be the same for everyone, then we able to calculate the time, the winner, the whatever we have to calculate. The simple mean is the starting point should be same. Okay, this is called as baseline in research. To check if the research groups are starting or having the same baseline, we go for equivalence of variance. Okay, just simply to check the baseline. So the test name is Levin's test. Here the null hypothesis is the variance of two groups are same, means both are starting from the same point. So again you will apply the p concept, because after doing test, every test give a one p value. Okay, then you will correlate. Okay, and then tell is they starting from the same or not. Okay, or the variance is same or not. Okay, just by p value. And the comments or the note is done only in between group condition. Okay, only for between group. Now this is within group and between group condition. Okay, within group means one group, between group two group. Okay, so like designs are we can say they are within group or between group. Okay, they can be labeled as within group, between group. So in within group, same subjects undergoing different condition. Okay, pre-test, post-test. Within a group, only one group we are using. And between group, different subjects undergoing different condition. Okay, so there will be two groups. One is control, where we are not giving an intervention, and one is experimental, where we are giving our experiment. Now different test. Okay, now this is the main different statistical tests. So first is correlation, when we have to correlate two things. For example, heart rate. Okay, heart rate we can calculate with breath rate, or okay, like we're calculating heart rate and cholesterol level, or we can say breath rate. We just calculating these variables and correlating two. Okay, any two continuous variable, like when heart rate is increasing, either the breath rate is increasing or not, or vice versa. Okay, so any two variables we will be taking which will be continuous. Remember, all the test starting from is continuous. Okay, for categorical there is one special test, I'll tell you later. So for correlation, first we'll go, okay, normality check. Okay, now we have checked the normality, we'll tell either parametric test or non-parametric test. If parametric, will go for Pearson's R. If non-parametric, is Spearman's rho. And the null hypothesis is there is no correlation between two variables. Okay, if p value is coming greater than 0.05, there will be no correlation. If it's less than 0.05, there will be correlation. Okay, and then come a condition of within group. Within group mean one group. Okay, in one group only we are doing all the things. Okay, so it will be like we are taking a blood pressure of pre and post. Okay, what are the changes because of the intervention has came. So again we'll go for normality check. If it's normal, then we'll go for parametric, either non-parametric. These are the test name. This is simply also called t-test. Okay, these are called t-test also. And the null hypothesis, the mean of difference is 0. The mean of difference means like we are pre and post we will be seeing. So is there any difference between the mean of these two data? Okay, that's saying only the mean of difference is 0, mean there is no change. Okay, if the difference is 0, no change when p is greater than equal to 0.05. But if p is coming, sorry, if p is coming less than 0.05, so the mean of difference is not 0. Okay, that will be not 0 because the p is less than 0.05. That means there has came some changes. Okay, now you just have to for like when you're going deeply in a research way, okay, like you're using the software, then you have to go to these p values. Just for your knowledge, you have to know. Okay, like if p is greater than 0.05, you have to accept, fail to reject the null hypothesis. If it's less than 0.05, just reject it. Okay, now the third condition will come between group. Just remember two group condition. Here are two things, one is normality check, one is variance. Now when we are doing these two things, there will be three options, or we can say three situation, three conditions coming. Okay, like we do permutation and combination. So there will be three things. I'll just explain you here. Okay, so between group, normality and variance test. So there will be three condition. One is when normality is satisfied, variance is also satisfied. Normality is satisfied, variance is not satisfied, means variance are not same. And when normality itself is not satisfied, okay, so then we'll not go for variance. For this we go for parametric test. Okay, for this for this non-parametric test, and in this we go for parametric test, remember, with correction. Okay, just remember it. When null hypothesis is satisfied, variance is not satisfied. This test name is Welch test. Okay, that's in the software only, you can just note it down, Welch test for. Okay, and here we have just given the parametric test, that's independent sample t-test, and non-parametric test Wilcoxon sum rank test, and the mean of groups are same. Okay, means both, like one group, two group, the mean are same, it's saying. Okay, for one variable. Now here's some other condition, ANOVA, when there is three or more than three groups. Okay, then again we check normality, parametric if it's normal, non-parametric if it's non-normal. You can go through the null hypothesis. Repeated measure ANOVA. Okay, ANOVA is like two or more groups when you're there. Repeated measure means when you're taking the measurement again and again. Okay, like you're doing research for any happiness pattern. Okay, you go through the 4 measurements in a day, like morning, afternoon, evening, night. You're measuring happiness at different levels, so that's called repeated measures. So here they will use RM ANOVA if it's parametric, Friedman's non-parametric. This is the null hypothesis. Now this is chi-square test used for categorical variable. Okay, categorical variable only have chi-square test. Okay, so there is no parametric test, just only non-parametric. There are two. Test for independence where there are two variables. Okay, and test for goodness when there are one variable with different proportion, same as repeated measures, different proportions. Mean we are just measuring like stress level, or your, we can say, yes, stress level, so, or your income, anything, just relating something with one variable and measuring it again and again. Okay, that will be a categorical variable. Okay, and here I have just given a happiness, it's a categorical, comes under mostly categorical. You can use like BP at 4 different times or anything, that will should be continuous variable, and here it should be categorical. Okay, different proportions. Here are 2 different variables, like you are correlating gender and happiness, gender and stress, gender and income, 2 different variables. Okay, so this is chi-square. This is the table just to simplify these things. Okay, I'll just make it small. Yeah, so test categorical continuous according to variable, categorical only non-parametric test, chi-square independence, goodness of fit. Okay, independence 2 variable, goodness of fit 1 variable. Now in continuous within and between group. Within group, first we'll check normality, if it's normal, non-normal, parametric, not normal, non-parametric. Between group there are 3 conditions, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the normality is checking, if it's normal directly go for non-parametric test. Now if normality is satisfied, equivalence of satisfied, parametric test. If normality is satisfied but variance are not equal, not satisfied, then we'll go for parametric test with correction, that's called Welch test. It's not written in the table, you can just remember it. Okay, Welch test. So that's all for these statistical tests. Hope you have understand these. These are simple. Just remember the name of the parametric test, non-parametric test, design name, and the null hypothesis. Okay, and remember this concept, P is greater or equal to 0.05. We accept in a simple language, but in research language we say fail to reject. Okay, and if P is less than 0.05, we'll just reject it. Okay, we are not getting even this number, so we'll just reject it. Okay, and don't think like how to do these steps. These everything will be done in a software called as JASP. Okay, Jeff software we use to do this test. Okay, so that's all for today. Let's meet again in next video. Thank you.